The Pittsburgh Penguins, one of the most dominant and successful teams in the entire league in the last decade and a half. But this breaks my heart to say. But their future isn't looking too good right now. Now, although they did just pick up the king, my idol, Kyle Dubas, there is still going to be a gap between almost a once-in-a-lifetime core and the future of the Penguins. But that's not what we're here to talk about. And Kyle Dubas said now is not the time to worry about that. We are in win-now mode. Which is why I genuinely think that this pick is more than likely going to be traded before the draft or during the draft. But if they do decide to draft, this is a perfect opportunity for them to pick a player who can solve one of their biggest issues of the year. Their bottom six was atrocious this year. And although their top six was honestly one of the best top sixes in the entire league, their third line and fourth line would just let them down. With guys like Carter and Granlund on brutal contracts for the next year and 2 years. At the very minimum, as it stands right now, those guys are locked into that bottom six. And with the other four more than likely going to consist of either Paling, O'Connor, Nylander, and another player. Maybe Archibald, they desperately need to capitalize on an ELC. And lucky for them, at the 14th overall pick, there are a lot of players who can solve that issue. So Penguins fans watching this, you're going to get a nice visual treat here. There are a lot of options we got here, so it's going to be a nice little montage for you guys. First is Nate Danielson, 6'1", 185 center for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL. 33 goals, 45 assists for 78 points in 68 games. Danielson is a very interesting player. He is fundamentally sound and is NHL ready in my opinion. He's smart on breakouts, defensively and physically as well. A player who doesn't take a lot of risks in the offensive zone, but is quite effective either way. That is exactly what the Penguins need. They need a secure player at the third line center who's cheap, young, and can produce a lot of offense as well as cover them on defense. Next is Braden Yeager, standing at 6 foot, 165 pounds, playing for the Moose Jaw Warriors in the WHL. He is a fantastic skilled center who drives the speed game of the Penguins with fantastic skill in the offensive zone. With 28 goals, 50 assists, and 78 points in 67 games. He was a solid offensive weapon for them. Give him two solid defensive wingers like Drew O'Connor, William Nylander, or Ryan Paling, because although Braden Yeager does need a lot of defensive development, as well as bulking up muscle to play more physical style, I think if they really needed him to jump in as the third line center, he could and provide a lot of offense. They could also reach and get a guy like Calum Ritchie. Me personally, I would not do that. Not that he's a bad player, but there are definitely better players available. They could take Matt Wood from UConn. Go check out my Nashville Predators video about him. The issue with him is he definitely needs some development. With his skill set, he's going to be a fantastic star in this league, but he would be a guy they would pick up if they're looking just to get the best player available to help build their future. He needs a minimum of 2 to 3 years to work on his skating and adjust his game accordingly. Another good option if they wanted to go winger and put Mikael Granlund back at center, they could take Gabriel Perreault, 5'11", 165-pound U.S. national development product. He was an incredibly unsung hero on that Smith, Perreault, and Leonard line. Listen to this, he led the entire team in points. 53 goals, 79 assists for 132 points in 63 games. He is an unbelievable prospect. He is so slept on for a few reasons, I believe. He does need to work on his skating balance to participate in physicality at the NHL level. He needs to get a little bit more defensive IQ, and obviously, as many of these players do, he needs to bulk up, but he's only 18, so I'm not too worried about that. Other than that, this kid is a lethal winger. I'm not understanding why he's so slept on. Now, although 14 is still a very high pick, I mean, obviously, I think he could go a little earlier. I think he would be a great solution for now as well as the future. Although I do think he may need a year, he could, if they absolutely needed to get points, put him on the third line right now. I do think he will be a defensive liability to a point, but he can't be worse than their bottom six this year, especially with his offensive contributions. Another great skilled winger like Andrew Costal could do the same job. In my opinion, his biggest issue is effort. He has all the skill and talent to be a fantastic player, just needs to work on his physicality and gain more muscle, needs to make some tweaks skating wise as well as his defensive IQ. Much the same with Perreault, and I think they would do the same job. Cristal does need to work on his effort as well though, but I think working under legendary players, he's going to shape up a little bit, and he'll understand that he is a huge part of the future as well as the present to help them win now and stay present in the future. We can go back to the idea of them possibly taking the best player available just so they can have a buffer for the future and get a project player like Edward Chalet, who in my opinion is a very big project, but with his work ethic, skill set, IQ, and frame, with time he can definitely be that guy during their buffer years. And of course, if he's even still available, which I doubt he will be, Sandin Pellikka has been a fan favorite ever since they've gotten this 14th overall pick. A fantastic number one guy for the future. And that would round out our defense, but I do firmly believe that they need to take an offensive player if they take this pick. There are a few other options, but they would definitely be reaches at 14. This is all, of course, a hypothetical situation if they even take this pick. More than likely, this pick will be traded to either bring in a fantastic player or get rid of a bad contract. But if they do decide to take this pick, these are all the options they could get. It really all depends on who's still available, what direction they want to go in, and whatever kind of playstyle they want for the future. That's all I got. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and comment the next team you want to see.